Good day, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Today we'll be discussing Nomad Pack in a 15-minute meal style like Jamie Oliver. My name is Bram Vogelaar, and today I'll be your guide, or your cook, as you will. I'm currently employed as a cloud engineer at a small consultancy firm called The Factory in the Netherlands, and I'm also a Nomad co-contributor for 2022, as well as a HashiCorp ambassador for this year, which I'm very stoked about. And today I'll be introducing something called Nomad. Some of us might already know it, but I'll give a small introduction. Nomad is an amazing open source tool made by HashiCorp. It is built around dynamic workload scheduling. It can do anything from batch work. It can do containerized, which is an example we're going to look at today, but it can also do non-containerized applications or even VMs. The amazing thing is it has native Consul and Vault integration, some of the other cool tools that HashiCorp produces. Consul with its service discovery tool, and Vault with its secret management. You can do it with tokens, so you can have ACLs around it so that not everybody can deploy. And its jobs are written in something called HCL, the HashiCorp configuration language, and that's something we're going to zoom in on a bit more today. What does one of those Nomad jobs look like? In this case, I'm going to show you a simple lorem ipsum example. It's going to expose a Docker container on port 8080. It's going to randomly assign a port number, which Nomad can work out which one it is. And then they're going to link to 8080 inside the Docker image. And for this Docker image, we're going to use something, my custom-made lorem ipsum container at version 1.00. And it's going to bind this HTTP port that we've defined before. Now, you think that's all mighty fine. But if you come into a situation where you want to do CI/CD, it becomes quite difficult to do. Well, not difficult. The DSL wasn't built around people wanting to make this variable and using variables to inject this version. Because in your CI/CD, when a new version comes out, you want to bump this number. And before Nomad Pack came out, you would actually have to, do some set, grab, replace stuff to actually get this going or make it parameterized. But for a while now, HashiCorp has come out with something called Nomad Pack to actually make this easier. It's built on another open source project that was pulled into HashiCorp, but now it's going to be more tightly integrated with Nomad itself. So let's have a look at what's that going to look like. So first of all, we need to install Nomad Pack. Nomad Pack is still under active development, so you'll have to go to GitHub to the releases of this project. And I suggest at the moment you run the nightlies, because the Nomad Pack is under such active development that you're gonna miss out on cool new stuff if you don't use the nightlies. All right, so down to the asset list, you're gonna, in my case, I'm gonna look for the Darwin binary. I'm gonna simple click download. As it says here, because they're still in beta, there's not going to be in the homebrew installations or in the apt or yum repositories that you're used to. So in this case, my browser tells me it might be dangerous, but that's okay because I know where it's coming from. And actually, I already have it installed, so let's have a look what that looks like. It's tag preview number 3. That's pretty much the one from last night. And it has a simple, well, it's a CLI command, so you're gonna also be able to show help. And it does two things, Nomad Pack, which is it also allows us to do properly parameterized jobs, but it also taps into a an ecosystem like we used to with Kubernetes Helm equivalent. In this case, let's have a look at what registries there are. And you'll find that Nomad Pack comes installed with a default registry. So something that's curated at the HashiCorp GitHub organization. As you saw when you run it for the first time, it actually pulls in the latest state of the public registry. And actually it shows quite a few applications already. There's a lot of observability in there. But let's have a look at, for instance, the Hello World job. Ask for the Hello World, what kind of information that would show. Then of course I forgot to ask for what register. So I can. It tells us a lot here. It tells us the name. It tells us who's the author, what it came from, and it also explains us explains to us what kind of variables that are available in this job. So if we look at the job itself, this is the bit what Jamie says. Here's one I did earlier. So I already checked out the community registry. And what does this look like? If you're gonna have a look at the Hello World again, you'll see there's a README, and that's the list of variables that we've seen before. So this is what a normal Nomad help file of variable file would look like. Right, we have a job name. We'll have a variable called job name. Will have a description. It will have a type, and this looks very, very familiar to Terraform because it basically is. It uses the same DSL that I explained, and the bulk of the things that are happening is in these two files, the template files. One, the hello world.nomad.template, name.nomad.template is quite common to use for this. You'll see here that it is a job file that looks very familiar to what I showed in the PowerPoint, but now there's some bits that are templated out. The templating language Nomad Pack uses is standard Golang template. So if you're familiar with that, it's very easy to pick up. So the things you would want to modify, you can very easily change into a Golang variable. In this case, my job name. If your Nomad cluster runs in different regions, then that's where you're going to go. And in this case, my example doesn't actually have a version, but this is why you would inject another version. But the most important or interesting bit is here that you can also integrate with Consul and make that optional. And also, now that Nomad's come out with their native service discovery tool, you could still write one job file and have users of your template basically decide whether they want to go full Consul or just going to go a native. If you want to develop our own pack, you want to start building your own registry, which is since for a while now Nomad has a function inside of it. Before you had to I want to generate a registry. Let's ask for help. Of course, we need to have an output. I want to have it in my local directory, and let's be lazy and ask for my sample pack. She talks. Let's be very imaginative in the name, and let's have a look what that generated for us. Oh, I did that wrong. Let's have a directory called HashiTalks. Change into the directory. Change into the directory HashiTalks. and run that again. Right, now we have a simple layout. We'll have our changelog.md, our readme.md, and I'll have a simple initial pack already. And if you open that, you'll find that it's pretty much the same hello world that we've seen in the public registry. Would be surprised if it wasn't. So this template, you'll see it's the same job. And if you zoom in a bit more on the helpers, you can see that you can, without plugging your main template, you can template out other stuff, like setting defaults for names if none is given, or stuff needs to be white space needs to be stripped. All right, let's create ourselves our first pack. Then pack. Let's do Vogelaar. And we'll see that in our packs we have another new job. It's called toolbar. It will have a simple help, single line that will output to make sure that everything works. It will have a certain amount of default variables that you can build upon. As you'll find, it looks very familiar. Well, that actually is the Hello World repackaged. If you want to develop more, you'll find that you can actually, from your pack directory, you can simply do a Nomad Pack run and then local directory. And if you want to make it a bit more special, you can start adding variables. You can either use them variable by variable, or you can specify, if you're very lazy like I am, a vars.hcl file, which is something you can build up or commit into your repositories itself. It's very nice. If you want to, well, this you can now commit. You can save it to your own GitHub. In my case, I have one already. At the moment, my registry doesn't do much because most of the work I have been doing has actually been merged directly into the community registry. In this case, I can add my local registry again by doing Nomad Pack for registry, add, give it a name. So it's going to go out into my registry and basically it's going to have more files. If you now do a Nomad Pack registry list, you're going to see that it not only has the default registry, but also has my own little very unimaginative hello world. If you've run it, if you want to kill it, it's a very simple Nomad Pack destroy hello world. So far that has been a fairly simple setup, but now if you want to, for instance, when you are developing, it can be that you're going to get some errors back from Nomad, and then it's wrapped into Nomad Pack, which is sometimes not entirely intuitive. You can now since a little while, you can render stuff out. So you could always render it to screen. So Nomad Pack render, and then local directory. You see it renders your local. It renders the template into an actual job file, which you can review. And this is fairly new. You can also render it into a file that you can actually run, because now you'd have to copy and paste into a file or directly into the Nomad UI, but you can actually render it out into the local directory. You're still going to get the output, but now you're also going to have my little foobar job, and there you can see the rendered output. And this is now so you could actually just Nomad run this. And then you could see the actual output that Nomad generates. Especially when you're developing, this is very useful. Because sometimes, people make mistakes, so you're gonna get some weird outputs or broken outputs, or your job isn't starting. So you want to have feedback, and this is the new rendering to file feature is very, very powerful. And with that, I think it's my 15 minutes are fairly up. So I hope you enjoyed your meal. If you want to discuss more, you can always email me at bram@attachmentgenie.com. If you want to rant or yell at me on Twitter, it's at attachmentgenie on pretty much any social media out there. And if you want to look at this or any other slideshow I did, you can always visit me on SlideShare. And that is really the end of today. So if you have any questions, I'll be around in the chat channel.